Welcome to another Directions Mag Geospatial webinar, today sponsored by our friends at Hexagon. I'm Barbara Duke, Managing Editor here at Directions Magazine, joined by my assistant producer, Lynette Qualia. We encourage you to stop by directionsmag.com and check out the latest feature articles, press releases, and of course, webinars. So today we are excited to hear from Stephanie Ellinger. She is a solution engineer over at Hexagon's Geospatial division. So welcome, Stephanie. We are glad to have you with us today, and over to you.
Thanks, Barbara, for the introduction, and welcome everyone, and I'm glad So today we will learn how smart cities can generate new insights and improve situational awareness by combining relevant data sources in different decision dashboards. We will introduce a way to support the responding to urgent alert notifications with pre-configured workflows. And we will also investigate how our solution directly refers to the place and the issues in the city that need to be the focus of attention. So, for example, when during complicated events like natural disasters, smart cities need to be able to manage their assets and know exactly what is going on in their city. This could concern electric lighting, like street lamps, traffic light systems, which goes along with one of our use cases I will present later on. So this will be the operational status of cable duct manholes. And the operational status is referring to whether a manhole is closed or open. And this is, for example, relevant during flooding events, like when a cover of a manhole can float away and the underlying infrastructure is exposed, or missing manholes can also be a threat to citizens. But to always be ahead of what is going on can be very difficult for the cities. And as smart cities are confronted with the challenges that already exist in infrastructure, comes along with distributed information, and also different authorities need to be included and the information needs to be unified. So the systems need to be interoperable and also have the need to be able to communicate and be connected with each other. Then also aspects like the digitalization or automation should support the real-time decision-making, which can sometimes be very tricky to achieve. And the most challenging part is to keep up with the rapid environmental changes and also the technology changes, like new sensors are coming up or any other technology enhancements. And this brings up the need for smart monitoring solutions. So smart monitoring should be responsive, preventive, and also predictive to help the smart cities to expand their abilities beyond connectivity and move towards monitoring and also the decision supporting solution to improve the city services. But how can all of those buzzwords like the real-time monitoring, data fusion, and also the IoT sensor integration be achieved? So to get there, we will have a look at our smart monitoring architecture. The smart monitoring architecture is set up in 3 building blocks: our sensors, the analysis, and the monitoring. And the sensors can cover satellite images, CCTV, laser scanners, any temperature or air quality sensors, and even social media streams can be included. Those sensor values are connected via standard IoT technologies like HTTP clients, MQTT, or any other API that provides the data either active or passive to our integration platform. So the sensor data is passed on to our analysis block, where we can generate the information out of the raw data. And in the analysis part, the city logic can be reproduced, as this section is highly flexible. And this can include machine learning or deep learning enhancements, for example, for image analysis, the pre and post processing of raster or vector data, then also data fusion tasks to combine separate data streams to get meaningful statements to support the stakeholders. Or we can just use the control unit to define simple thresholds to set one single value into a bigger context and give them a meaning. And after the processing of the data is done, the extracted information is passed on to our visual dashboard, where the information is prepared in an immediately understandable way for the decision makers. So to highlight the key values of the smart monitoring architecture, is that our main challenges of smart cities can be overcome, as continuous access to the digital content from all end devices is easily can be easily distributed within different authorities. Moreover, the architecture is infinitely connected by merging different sensors and data sources together. And it's also open to new technologies, which is also crucial to keep up with the changing environment. And based on the usage and the requirements of the city, the solution can be scaled on demand. So it is suitable for any huge megacity or can also be adapted to the requirements for a small district. When we move on, we can have a first glance to our actual solution, which I was mentioning earlier, is the smart monitoring is now the monitoring part of our smart monitoring architecture. So what we are seeing here is the starting area to the smart city cockpit in our solution Map Enterprise. So maybe we also have some Map Enterprise users in the audience, and they will recognize a change in the style. So this will be part of the new release in January. Now we are also supporting the dark theme for low light working conditions. And moreover, the overall theme can be customized now. So we will learn more about Map Enterprise after we have seen a demo on the functionalities to give you a better idea of the solution first. So what we have here is our smart city overview and the underlying topics we have that are covered in our smart city. And all those topics here are can be totally customized and also adapted to the city's needs and requirements. And on two use cases, we will have a closer look today. One topic are the cable ducts, and another one our road constructions. So for the cable duct use case, IoT sensors are connected to secure and monitor telecommunication infrastructure. So the sensors for cable duct manholes identify changes in height and are a first prototype to test in the practical use for those sensors for manhole changes. And alerts are triggered if the cable duct cover is opened without permission and gives a direct alert to the smart city cockpit. So on occasions where the manhole needs to be opened, like during maintenance events, the alert can also be disabled for a specific time. And all those workflows are covered in our Map Enterprise smart monitoring architecture. And a little background story on why the cable duct monitoring is relevant here. So one of our customers experienced an attack on a manhole with fiber optics underneath. And the fiber optics were responsible for traffic light signaling system, which was destroyed. So in this case, nothing bad happened, but in the case that critical infrastructure would have been harmed, the customer saw the need to connect sensors to keep track of the security and the underlying infrastructure. And with the inclusion of geoinformation, we also have the power of where included and see the impacts directly on the map. So as a quick reminder, when we compare old approaches of city monitoring with the new approach here, it is quite significant that there are a lot of enhancements. So before, the data was mostly stored in simple CSV files without any evaluation or analysis. And now with the continuous recording of data, anomalies can be identified in the long term. And now even other data sources, like who needs to take care in case of an emergency, for example, the responsible police department, can be included now. We have the data visualized with a georeference in a dashboard application with including workflows to manage work orders. And we also have access to mobile applications for field workers to take action in case of an emergency. So now we will already move on with a demo on the application. So what we can see here is our, so as mentioned earlier, we have here our starting page. And based on our user, what we have seen here earlier, we will get the applications that are assigned based on our user's role. So we have a user, a roll and write principle underneath. And now we are going to launch the Smart City overview to get started and check on the condition of our smart city. When we go here, the first thing we see are the active measures here described in the dashboard. So they are themed by the status. So the color here is referring also to those dashboards here. We get the priority lists and see which active measures are of high priority, medium, or low. And we also get an overview of the measures in the city. And moreover, we have an active measures report where we get a more detailed look on the starting date or end date and on the priority, and get a little description of our active measures that are going on in the city. Then where everything comes together is this part here. So these are the dashboards we have seen earlier in the starting page. And those are now integrated as dashboards in here as well. So based on the color, we can directly see if any measures need to be taken. And so when everything is green or orange, nothing urgent is happening. But now we are getting an alert in. And the color of this dashboard is immediately changing to red. So we know that urgent action is needed. When we are going to open this application, we will get directly to our cable duct overview. So in this dashboard, we can see the state of the cable ducts. And what we can see here, that is that one cable duct manhole was opened and an alert was triggered. That was what we have seen earlier. So we can now go and select this item in the map. And again, something for the experienced map enterprise users, we now support those workflows directly in the browser. So they are fully integrated now in the system. So when we start get up our workflow, we can see the state and any and can set the date when the maintenance is needed. So when I was recording the application, we can just set the date that was on that day. We can assign a specific person to, which is later on responsible to take care of the action. And now we also can add a comment to help the field worker afterwards to get the work order done. And everything here is connected. So everything we put in here is then later on also available for in the mobile applications to help the field workers. So now we have scheduled our maintenance and also scheduled the inspection. And we can now just zoom back out and then can go back to our dashboard, and we can see that the status have now changed from red to orange. That means that that there's still something to do, but nothing urgent anymore. And the next thing we will have a look at is the road constructions. So we go in here again. We have a 3D map view. And again, a list of our construction sites. We can filter on the high priority. And then just select the item again on the map. So here we only have a few items, but when you have a large amount of items, it's very important to be able to zoom in. Same as before, we can open the workflow. And what is also mentionable here for the new release is that we support now new symbology in the browser as well. So you can customize your icons and have a lot more options to customize. So what we are doing now, we have added another layer of 3D data. So we have our LiDAR data that was collected via the company here. And this is just a road LiDAR inspection. And now we can directly maneuver in the browser and get a better overview of the current situation. And this is also very important to really get an overall situational awareness also in the construction site, because then you can also do some of the field work that needs to be done on site directly with the data that was captured already. So here we can add again some comments which may be important for the planner afterwards. And we can add the height, also can measure the distances or any area. So we have this directly integrated in the browser view and can do all these measures together. And directly, yeah, everything is connected here. So this really helps the city planners and yeah, the responsible authorities to bring everything together and smooth out the planning and operational process. So this information is then passed on to the next responsible person, and they have the information already available without the need to go in the field. So when we are switching back to our overall view, we can then see that now this one is turned to green as well. So all the active measures and all the things that need to be done in the smart city can be scheduled here. And you will always be on track and on top of things and know exactly where you have to look at. Because when you have thousands of sensors included, it's sometimes hard to know where to look. And so here you get really the overall overview of everything, and then can go directly to the most urgent things where your action is needed. So now we will do a short recap on how the solution really meets the city requirements in a smart city. So we can directly identify the anomalies within the city's infrastructure, the overview dashboard to get all necessary information for the decision support, and we always know where to look. Yeah, and even same as I have mentioned earlier, even if thousands of different sensor sources are included or different sensors are adapted, most of the sensors in the ideal case should or don't need attention, but to really have everything scheduled out, and if in the case of an alert, some attention is needed, it needs to be done fast and in real time, because some occurrences of events really need a fast action, and this can be done by really identifying the target of action. And with the continuous monitoring, we also can keep track of the condition changes and also have a reporting and documentation tool, because all measures are reported in here as well. And the integrated workflow also support efficient smart city management and planning. So here we have can have a look at our mobile solution. So here you can see the old application. So you can see that it was quite evolving over time. So we have the operational status of our cable ducts, and we have the same data displayed in our mobile app. So we have the same database or data foundation, and we can work with both. So when we were planning a maintenance here, we have this directly in the browser again. So the status was changed by the by the field worker on site, and we have the same information directly then be passed back to the office, and the manager can check if the work was done or not. So now a little bit more to our foundation, M.App Enterprise. M.App Enterprise provides a unified geospatial enterprise platform for all users. This includes the top manager to GIS experts and also field workers. So to get started, it's always the most important thing is the content. And this can be fueled by different sources. We are able to connect different types of data providers. And what is also important for the next release is that next to the default connection like Oracle, Postgres, and SQL Server, we also are now supporting SAP HANA with the same functionality level as an input. And this is so the content. So we have vector data, raster data, and as well any geo services can be included. Then we have our M.App Enterprise Studio. This is the development environment where the applications are designed, configured, and administrated, and where also the security concept and the user and role management is taking place. Then our foundation layer is covering the map and query frameworks, as well as the delivery and the workflows. Then we can move on to the geoprocessing. This offers spatial operators, spatial models, and can include also other web services. And the last thing on the server side is Lucia Fusion. This allows us intelligent data management of a multitude of data with features like automatic cataloging and also the quick and easy data publishing. Now we will go over to our client side. And the first thing we can have a look at is the rich client. This is more like a desktop client, but it's also, or it has the appearance of a desktop client, but is also completely web-based. This is more for the GIS experts to do heavier GIS tasks. Then we have our mobile applications, which we have seen earlier, and this supports all standard operating systems. And the last thing is the browser application or the web-based application. And those offer the business intelligence capabilities to really provide a deeper understanding of the data. And now everything, these were all the dashboards you have seen earlier. And the most important thing is probably the apps page for the end user, because this is really the centralized access to all the apps that are assigned to your user. And when we have a look at the site here, we have Xalt Integration, which is our integration platform for all the real-time data streams that need to be passed on to our system. So now to wrap things up, I want to focus on our key highlights we have learned in that session. So with this solution, we can establish reliable real-time sensor connections without being dependent on the sensor or communication technology due to the flexibility of the integration interface. And this also leads to the ability of an agile approach during the configuration and also the implementation process. And moreover, we get the power of where in our smart city control center, and we are able to connect all the different data sources, even if they are external or internal. So this means that smart monitoring leads to new insights for smart cities. As our smart monitoring architecture helps the customer to be prepared to adapt to today's rapidly changing environment. And it's also easy to implement based on the city's demands, and that they can really fully exploit the data and the sensors. Because with the sensor agnostic and our data-driven approach, we help to enhance the daily tasks by generating solutions that delivers the right information to the right person at the right time to really support a smooth decision-making process. And now we are almost done. So thank you very much for your attention. And now it's time for your questions.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Great information. And folks, pay attention there to the link shared. We'll share that with you via email as well. So we'll start with question number 1. When will the Smart City Cockpit be available, and will it support integration with other sensors that support OGC standards?
So the Smart City Cockpit is already available. So this is just a solution built on Map Enterprise. And of course, all different type of sensors can be included. And this is always a little bit dependent on the data protocol and the transport protocol that is used. But usually we are able to bring all the sensors in and visualize them in based on the needs of the city in our dashboards. Hope this gets the question.
Absolutely. I'm sure that's going to be good news for a person looking for it to be coming. It's already here. Next question, how easy is it to integrate new IoT sensors or data?
Yeah, this always depends on the sensors, like I already said. So based on the infrastructure or the transport or the data protocol, it always depends how the sensors need to be integrated, but all, as mentioned earlier, all IoT standards are supported, like HTTP, WebSockets, MQTT, or REST services. But the biggest challenge is always to establish a secure connection, and this can be tricky sometimes. But with the experience we gained by now, we can integrate and bring all sensors together in a secure infrastructure.
Excellent. Is the solution limited to the topics presented, or can other topics be included also?
No, the solution is totally flexible and all variations. So whether you want to change the workflows or want to include other data sources, the solution is totally open because it's configurable. So whatever is needed can be changed and adapted to fit to the needs of the city.
Excellent. We like flexible solutions. And next question, what latency time do we have during visualization?
So when the sensor is sending out the signal to the visualization in the dashboard, it only takes seconds or a second, because we are not using a database query in between. So with Xalt integration, we are really able to get it almost latency free and almost real time in our solution. So we when the signal is leaving the sensor, we are within a glance are able to visualize this in the browser or in our solutions in general.
Very good. We've got someone asking, is the solution for live data only, or can they also show historical data?
Oh, no, it's also possible to show historical data. Then we are using the different sources. So we can use, or we are using data that is stored in the database as well. And this can be connected or enhanced with the real-time data. But we also have time sliders to show the development of specific values like air quality over time. So we can also do a historical analytics besides the real-time situation. So we are also totally flexible on that.
Great. And we've got a last couple of questions here, and they're actually quite similar to each other. How easy is it to for the smart city to integrate into existing frameworks? In particular, they're wanting to learn more about the planning required to make that happen. The other question is, about the learning curve to deploy the system, very similar. So maybe you could speak to maybe what people should be planning or thinking about, and to maybe ease that learning curve to deploy such a system.
That's a tricky one. I'm not sure if I'm getting the question right. So it's with the solution, we are also quite flexible there. It always depends on the system. But as soon as we have access to the data, we can integrate it. Yeah, it's really hard to say, because it's a very generic question. So you always need to have a look at the system, but usually we are always able to get it integrated and connected with the workflows and the data the customer or the city is offering.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Stephanie. We are out of time, but folks, any questions that we didn't get to today, we'll share those with the talented team over here at Hexagon. They'll be sure to follow up with you personally. We hope that you will keep an eye on your inbox. You can expect the recording as well as an attendance certificate. We appreciate your opinions on the survey on the way out. Thank you again, Stephanie, for sharing your expertise, and to Nele for her work behind the scenes. We hope that you'll make it a great day and tell a friend about Hexagon and Directions Magazine. Thanks, everybody.